That's where he matriculated. Chargers take over on downs late second quarter. Drew Brees finds his horse. Antonio Gates is a man. 82 catches this year. 1,026 yards. Gates again, first down again. Still same drive, 3rd and goal. Drew Brees trying to be cool Brees, scrambling. Incomplete to Gates in the end zone. Chargers get a field goal. The drive was 18 plays, covering 91 yards, lasting more than 8 minutes.
Colts down 13-0, and in college they called him lights out at the University of Maryland. It's Sean Merriman again. This guy can flat out go. It's 16-3 Chargers. Brees picked by Gary Brackett. He had 2 picks the first night of the season against Baltimore. He returns it to the 26. Ensuing Colts possession. You know that you're not going to keep this team down forever. Play action. Marvin Harrison, and if you don't know,
what?
Now you know.
What?
Marvin gets tackled at the 1. Next play, the edge. They've got a 3-headed horse. Manning, Harrison, the edge. Hey, they've got Wayne and some other weapons as well, as you'll see. Colts now within 6, and the defense chomping at the bit. Let's get back on the field. Let's make a play. Chargers still up 6, 3rd and 13. Dwight Freeney. You're not going to keep him out of the highlights. He had 1 sack, and it was a huge sack. Colts defense comes up big. Give their boys the ball back inside the 10-yard line, 3rd down. I mentioned weapons, play action, and Manning loves his tight end out of Iowa. Dallas Clark for a touchdown, and in the blink of an eye, the Colts are ahead. Drew Brees waiting to get back on the field. Stewart, take me home.
Scott, after Indy put up 17 points in 6 minutes and 1 second, 39, Drew Brees looked like he was in trouble. Then he's just spelled trouble for Indy. Here's what Keenan McCardell had to say about his 54-yard catch.
It was a play to be made, you know, and as some people say, playmakers step up and make plays, and I just stepped up and made a play, and just a play to help this team win.
That play set up Nate Keating, former Groza Award winner, put his toe, his instep, his plantar fascia, I like saying that, into this one from 49 yards out.
That is, man. It's his foot.
It's his feetsies. Chargers up 19-17. Ensuing kickoff, Dominic Rhodes got popped, and he coughed it up. Marty Schottenheimer, the job of the coach is to teach his special teams not to knock each other down when they recover a fumble. 3 Colt turnovers, but ensuing Chargers drive. Hater! Brees picked by Nick Harper. Colts defense getting all crunked up. #1 scoring defense in the AFC. 4th quarter, Colts down 19-17. Peyton Manning. He said, yo, there's somebody out there. Referee said, no, they won't. 10-yard penalty and loss of down intentional grounding. Same drive. Oh, they put an APB out for a beatdown. Manning sacked by Luis Castillo. Only 12 times sacked all year coming in. 4 times in this game. Colts punt it instead of trying the long field goal. 2:20 left, ball game.
Turner goes to the right side. He's got room. 30, 35, 40, 50. Down the sideline is the burner. Chase at the 20, 15, 10, 5. Bye-bye, Michael Turner. 13-1. Here you come, Colts.
With the best runner in the game, LT on the sideline, Michael Turner busted it. Indy outrushed 206-24. Edge and Marvin needed therapy. 4th quarter, Peyton trying to do something. Instead, throws a pick to Quentin Jamma. Jamma's first interception of the year, the perfect season. Gone, nada. Chargers win it 26-17. And the Lightning Bolts keep their wild card hopes alive. It also prevents the Broncos from winning the AFC West yet. Plus, it allows the Colts to rest its starters for the final 2 games. Like they want that. Not making history. Tougher Sunday night to deal with the loss than they would have liked. After the game, though, Coach Tony Dungy talked about the importance of a perfect season for him and his team.
Our guys wanted to stay undefeated. They wanted to go 16-0, and we certainly didn't want to lose at home. We practiced well this week. I think these guys just outplayed us today. It's tough to go 16-0, and you play a lot of good teams, and you have to be at your best every week. And these guys came in and outplayed us, and that, that's going to happen sometimes. So, yeah, you have an appreciation for it, and we couldn't quite pull it off. But as I say, that was never the main goal in our minds. So now we've got to just come back and make sure that we continue to get better.
Certainly, it's something that you need to respond to. When you watch the film and you see plays and you have a losing taste in your mouth, you want to try to get it out of your mouth. Like I said, we've won a lot of games in a row And when you lose, it's disappointing. The idea is to try to go back to work. That's really all. That's all I know to do. That's all we know to do as a team, and I know that's what Coach wants us to do.
That's the sound of a perfect season just escaping. Colts, obviously a season worst performance. All these numbers, season worsts or highs. Rushing yards allowed, rushing yards, Manning's pass attempts, which is a season high. His incompletions, you get the picture. Chargers coach Marty Schottenheimer had this to say about his team.
We proved that we could be in a tough one, and on the road, tough environment. The plan coming in was to try to, ball possess as much as we could, and, we managed to score enough to win.
They're a heck of a football team, and obviously they have a lot to be proud of still. And, who knows, hopefully we'll see them again down the road sooner than later.
Chargers improving to 9-5 with the win, tied now for the 6th best record in the AFC with the Steelers, but, big but, Steelers own the head-to-head tiebreaker. They won on a last-second field goal in Week 5 over San Diego. Next up for the Chargers, they go to Arrowhead and the Chiefs next week. Yo, Sean Salisbury, Freakazoid, how did the Chargers rattle the Colts on Sunday?
All right, Stu, the way you beat the Indianapolis Colts is real simple. Yeah, right. You dominate the line of scrimmage like the Chargers did. Sean Merriman needs to be on your team, and you make them feel uncomfortable. And that's exactly what they did on defense. They took them out of rhythm, but they also won on first down. That's big Jamal Williams. When you get that far to the other side of the line of scrimmage against Edgerrin James, who rushed for 25 yards, you're going to stop the run. And then Sean Merriman, who was awesome rushing the passer, but also in on the assist on the run. Here's Merriman now coming at the bottom of your screen, taking on Lilja, the guard. This is not just a speed rusher. Pushes him back into Peyton Manning. And look at this. It's a first quarter tempo being set early in this game. That was the 2nd sack early in this game for the San Diego Chargers. And there's Merriman again up top. This kid is going to be a star in the league. And when you get the same guard, Lilja, trying to take him on exactly the same way, just a nice bull rush, and then you finish. And when you finish like this, you got a chance to win. No longer undefeated. The best rush defense in the league came through today, came through at the quarterback position too. All right, welcome in the playmaker, Michael Irvin. Well, Mike, I guess we don't have to worry about if the Colts are going to rest their players. What was the main reason they lost today? Why aren't they undefeated?
Well, when I watched the game, Sean, I'll tell you exactly what it was. The Colts did not match the intensity of the San Diego Chargers, and especially up front, they did not match the intensity all day long. The front seven for the San Diego Chargers, they harassed Peyton Manning all day long. That was the main problem.
And also the run defense, which is #1 in the AFC. The Chargers' run defense dominated them. Edge didn't even get to 40 or 50 yards today. They were far more physical. And it's the first time all year I've seen a team push the Colts around at the line of scrimmage, Mike. They dominated up front and had way too many big plays against the Colts in the secondary.
And early on, LT running around crazy everywhere without Corey Simon in the game. But let me ask you this, Sean. Do you believe they are better off with at least one loss going into the playoffs?
No, Mike, I never believe that. People talk about, well, the pressure's off. The pressure's on every week because you and I both know if they don't win and don't go to the Super Bowl, people are going to look at him as a failure or look at him as they choked. I don't like it when you lose a football game because now there's going to seep in those questions about, well, are we really good enough? We let a team come into our building and beat us at home, and we have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So, Mike, no, I don't believe they're better off. Now they're going to get rested and all, but now what do they do to get their rhythm back? Because this is the first time all year I saw Peyton out of rhythm, and 2 plays at the end of the game were uncharacteristic. Him taking a sack and then getting, the intentional grounding and taking a sack.
And this is a rhythm football team. They love their rhythm, so I think it's very important to make sure you kind of work in some playing time. Yeah, you rest them, but you make sure you work them in some playing.
And don't think that the Patriots aren't looming large on a bunch of AFC teams' shoulder.
And when you hear those rumors about Peyton can't win the big one, goes to lose a playoff game this time, that'll be ugly.
Scary, that aura that is the Patriots. Mike, how far do the Colts go now? They've proved that people have proved they're beatable. Are they still the team to beat, and are they going to Detroit?
No doubt. They are still the team to beat. Fortunately for them, San Diego, 2 tough games left. Going to Kansas City, in Denver, you won't see San Diego in the playoffs. That's a blessing. Indy, I still have them going to
Mike, it's like a kicker. If a kicker misses a field goal late in a game that costs them, the only time you get that confidence back is if you get another game-winning field goal and make it. I would ask you this about the Colts. Would there be any chance, after going 13-0 and losing this game, that there's a chance that they start to look and say, maybe we're not as good as we thought, even at 13-1?
No, you can say San Diego just matches up well with them. Like I said earlier, you won't see San Diego. You may see New England, and they're getting ready to play some football, but they do have to get their confidence going. That's why they will have to play some football next week.
Great to be with you, buddy.
All right,
Should be an interesting final December in the playoffs. Back to you guys.
Fellas, Colts Following the footsteps of the 1998 Broncos and losing their 14th game after starting 13-0, of the 4 teams in history to get off to a 13-0 start, none of them scored more than 17 points in that 14th game, even though the Dolphins won over the Colts. As for the Dolphins of 72 and their reaction.
First of all, I want to congratulate Indianapolis. Tony Dungy, Bill Polian, who is a great friend of mine, the organization, Peyton Manning, who I admire greatly, for the way that they've conducted themselves, in the way that they went after the perfect season. We've taken a lot of pride in being the only undefeated team. Nobody has done it before us. Nobody's done it since we did it. And to think that the Colts had that shot, in the way that they were playing, I really felt that they had a chance to run the table.
I can say without a doubt that we were really pulling for them. It's tough to go undefeated.
Did you say we there?
You, I'm including you. It's tough to go undefeated in the National Football League. And I don't think there's any doubt that we wish them nothing but the best.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Bob. Much more Chargers Colts coming up later, including how the day sounded on the radio. But first, we're just getting warmed up here, Scotty, in this 90-minute house party.
That's a fact. Up next, no more punchline. The Bengals dominate in Detroit, doing something they haven't done since the 80s. So why was Chad Johnson looking so confused? Speaking of which, 2 contenders wondering what happened on Sunday. Straight ahead, a pair of big wins shake up the NFC and AFC playoff pictures. Plus, with more than just the Falcons' playoff plans at stake, Michael Vick battles the Bears and the elements in the city of CHI. Highlights coming right up.
SportsCenter, brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 40. And Gatorade Thirst Quencher. It's in the NFL. Is it in you?
And the Cincinnati Bengals. Crank it up, fear the Tigers. Fear the Tigers, cause we're the Tigers. Crank it up, we're ready to rumble. We're ready to rumble, cause we're king of the jungle. Crank it up, fear the Tigers.
Bootzilla's here, baby Bubba. And they, them dudes who can win their first division title since 1990. All the Bengals got to do is smack upside the head the franchise that's taken over their previously firm grip of the worst franchise in the league label. Yo, son, only 3 years ago, the Bengals bungled at 2-14. Now 10-3, Marvin Lewis looks like a genius, and only real geniuses deflect. Says Marv, quote, "It has nothing to do with me. We have real good players who have really grown up." All right, Mark, whatever you say. Bengals in Detroit with Detroit focus so mad. One radio station urging fans to wear Cincy colors. That ain't right. They've been calling for GM Matt Millen's head. Matt Millen's boys are having a tough year. First quarter, Bengals up 10-zip. Carson Palmer represent. Hits Chad Johnson for the touchdown. Chad had 11 catches. You know he's going to do some kind of touchdown dance, right? Check this out. He runs an okey doke on us. Mr. Ref, yo, here you go. Said Chad later, "This game's too important. I just wanted to play it safe." Second quarter, Denny Crane, Palmer, radar lock, TJ Hushmanzada. Palmer now, franchise record, 30 touchdowns this year, 24-7 Bengals. Later in the second, same score, 2nd and 9 for the Lions. Jeff Garcia. His pass is going to go right through Roy Williams' hands. And Delta O'Neal gets his mitts on it. He graduated with his PhD player-hated degree, 10th pick of the year, 4th straight game with one. Marvin Lewis gets a Gatorade shower. Bengals win 41-17.
This is the first step, and that's win the division, which kind of does 2 things. It puts us in the playoffs, and we won the division. So that's 2 down, and we're ready to go.
Added longtime Bengal Willie Anderson, even a garbage can gets a steak now and again. Bengals clinched their first division title since '90. They improved to 11-3 on the year. This is just their 3rd 11-win season ever. Their best record, 12-4. And Carson Palmer's just straight butter. Killing kids, completing over 67% of his passes, on pace to throw for 4,000 yards in those 30 touchdowns.
That team is no joke. Biggest game they've ever had in FedEx Field. Bill Parcells and the Cowboys, though, have won 14 of the last 16 in this rivalry. First quarter, Drew Bledsoe. It gets tipped in the air by Phillip Daniels, and Cornelius Griffin gets it. It's not exactly Dexter Manley and Darrell Grant in 83, but the day would feel a lot like it. Mark Brunell ensuing drive. Chris Cooley, this guy's turning into a star. Washington's up 7-0. Second quarter, speaking of stars, Brunell and Santana Moss, who just killed the Cowboys earlier this year on a Monday night. Oh, how about that grab? Moss slides in. Maybe it was a touchdown. They didn't review it, but they'd get their touchdown here. Brunell rolls out, waits. There's Cooley again, the kid from Utah State. 6 grabs, 71 yards, 14-0 Skins. $1:40 left. Santana Moss again, little screen, and this guy from the U, so quick. Down to the 3, that sets up a touchdown pass to Mike Sellers. It's 21-0. Huge momentum swing here. Dallas driving, and Bledsoe's pass is picked by Marcus Williams, and this fella is flying. Bledsoe, who got sacked 7 times, and this one is bumming, and it would get worse because it's Brunell and Cooley again. This guy had 3 touchdowns all year, 3 touchdowns in the first half. Some horrible tackling here, and it was on. It would ultimately be a blowout of historic proportions for the Redskins. Parcells just giving Terrence Newman that look that no man ever wants. And this is where it gets scary. The outcome's clearly been decided, and Marco Rivera lands directly on his head while making a block. Down on the field for quite a while. Leg seen moving before he left the field. He'll stay in the hospital overnight. A rough day all around for Dallas.
Do anything well today, obviously. We kind of got overwhelmed and made a lot of mistakes. Very poor performance. And they just outplayed us in every area, and we had really no chance to win the game.
Obviously, we know what is at stake. You know, we're still alive, and hopefully we can keep this thing going. But obviously, we feel good about our effort tonight and getting this win.
Now, there are many that feel that the Redskins-Cowboys rivalry is the best in all of the NFL. This is the 92nd time they have met. It was like old times, the We Want Dallas chants rolling at FedEx, and this is the largest margin of victory for the Redskins ever over the Cowboys, and it meant quite a bit, as you'll see in just a minute.
Steelers-Vikings. Vikes have won 6 straight, but had a rough week. 4 players charged in that boat party incident. Third down at the 1-yard line. Seatrick, face on up the middle, stuff, drop. Vikes settle for a field goal, tying it at 3. Remember, they were in the red zone there. Second quarter, Vikings in the red zone again, and this is bananas. See what had happened? Brad Johnson tried to shovel it to Corn Robinson, bounced off of him, intercepted by Joey Porter. Vikings 3 turnovers, Steelers had none. Still 3-3. Meanwhile, Steelers went silly in the red zone. Ben Roethlisberger dropped back, and when you're a quarterback 6'5", 240 with wheels, don't be scared. Steelers go up 10-3. Back to the Vikings in their red zone troubles. Brad Johnson to the end zone. My bad. Picked up by Deshae Townsend. Vikings had 25 total yards in the second half. Another red zone muff. Third quarter, Vikings going for the field goal. Huh? He did. Paul Ellinger's kick is blocked. Vikings get rolled 18-3.
The NFL's top defense and 8-degree weather waiting on Michael Vick in Chicago. He was hating it. It would get worse. We're scoreless. It was a field position game. Nobody could do anything. And Vick bootlegs, running for his life, and Brian Urlacher drills him. 3 of 13, 21 yards in the first half. The Falcons were held to 114 yards rushing in this one, but the Bears trailing 3-0, can't get anything going. Musa Muhammad's bummed out. Kyle Orton didn't find him, and he was very upset. Spoke with the rookie Kyle Orton on the sideline. Chicago, though, led 63 at the half. Now, with the wind at their back, the Bears decide to go to Rex Grossman. His first pass. How about that? A dart to Musa Muhammad, 23 yards. After breaking his ankle in the preseason, he rehabbed and he's back on the field. And he puts the wind in their sails, but then Keon Carpenter with a great pick, but he makes a bad decision, gets up, tries to make a play. Carpenter runs into his old man, fumbles, so the Bears now recover. They've got the ball first in goal. Moore can't believe it. Your Sky Camp play of the game, Thomas Jones, who ran for 91 very tough yards on a cold night, puts the Bears up 13-3. Grossman paying immediate dividends for Lovey and the boys. Bears leading 16-3. Vick for Michael Jenkins, and there were about 100 huge hits in this ball game. Ball pops up, and Nathan Vasher grabs it. People getting blasted all night. Atlanta reviews their Susie bundled up. Stay warm, Suze. Take a look. It's hard to figure out. Is he down by contact? Is it an interception?
It's jacked up for Monday night.
It's definitely Monday night jacked up, but Moore is almost jacked up the refs. He is furious. The Falcons offense and Vic both left in the cold. The Bears have won 9 of 10. Third time this year they held a team to 3 points. And because of the loss of the Falcons, the Cowboys, and the Vikings, and because of the win by the Washington Redskins, out of nowhere, the Washington Redskins currently, and by law, we're not allowed to say if the season ended today.
No.
But just for fun, as of right now, let's put it that way, the Redskins would own the final playoff spot in the NFC.
Skycam Play of the Game. Brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. With Visa's multiple layers of security, you're covered.
Saints beat the Panthers on an emotional opening day. Time to get some get back. Hazlitt Saints 0-3 at Tiger Stadium. Entering the game, first quarter, Steve Smith. He's punked kids all year, leads the league in catches, receiving yards, but just put the rock in his hands and he's filthy. 20-yard touchdown run, 28 career touchdowns, first one rushing. Panthers up 7-zip. Todd Bauman replaces Aaron Brooks as the Saints starting quarterbacks after 82 straight Aaron starts. Second quarter, hater in the house. Bauman picked off by Al Wallace. He was picked off 4 times, Saints 6 turnovers overall. Before the third quarter, Steve Smith not feeling well, bad stomach. I guess bad as in that cat Shaft is a bad, you know.
Watch your mouth.
I'm talking about Steve Smith.
I feel you.
Well, we can dig it. Smitty, 15-yard touchdown, while Carolina's defense holds its 9th straight opponent to under 300 yards. They won 27-10. Big ups to Richard Roundtree. NFC South breaks down like this. Panthers a game up on the Bucks. Falcons dropped to 2 back with their loss on Sunday. Panthers host the Cowboys next week, while the Bucks and Falcons meet down in Tampa.
Samuel L. can't get any love while we're at it. Jacksonville closing in on its first playoff berth since 1999. Alex Smith, the #1 pick, just hoping to get his first NFL touchdown pass. David Garrard still in for the injured Byron Leftwich. Second quarter, Jags down 3. Garrard showing what made him so dangerous at East Carolina, and now in the pro game. He hits the B button, old school spin, and he's into the end zone, 7-3 Jaguars. Under 6 minutes to go, Alex Smith with a chance to win it. Deep ball is fluttering in the wind, and it gets whacked into the hands of Kenny Wright. Jacksonville has 6 wins in 7 games, all against teams under 500. Hey, you play who you play, and if you beat them, you beat them. Jags and Steelers currently hold the final 2 spots in the AFC playoff race. Chargers, as you know, tied in the record with the Steelers, but lost in Pittsburgh Week 5, thus losing out on the head-to-head tiebreaker, and the Chiefs somehow are still in it. Now, from a coldly analytical point of view, the only thing the Colts lost today was a shot at history. But all along, the history they said they hoped they would make involved a Super Bowl trophy. Indianapolis still has home field for the playoffs and can now spend the last 3 weeks getting rested rather than juggling those should we or shouldn't we questions about how long starters should play. It was fun while it lasted. Sal Palantonio now on why the 72 Dolphins could finally pop that champagne.
After being a study in perfection for 13 games, the Colts were victimized by the simplest of imperfections, bad judgment and bad play. The worst of it came in the fourth quarter. 3rd and 9 from San Diego's 9. The Colts secondary allowed Keenan McCardle to break free, setting up Nate Kading's decisive field goal.
My thing is to read the quarterback. I was expecting something. Once he got out of the pocket a little bit, I sort of, slowed down, and he sort of froze me up, which allowed the receiver to get behind me.
Big pass to McCardle. We're in zone defense. Breeze bought a little extra time and hit him, and that really, was the play of the game.
Believe it or not, twice the bad judgments came from number 18, and twice the Colts failed to score as a result. On a 4th and goal, Peyton Manning elected to bootleg instead of give the ball to Edgerrin James and was stopped. Then, in the fourth quarter, Manning's intentional grounding helped put the Colts out of range for a go-ahead field goal.
The #1 thing is to try to, not to take a sack, and You know, the guy was right there, and just, you know, when you want to get rid of it. When you're playing a good team, if you're going to make some mistakes, it can make it harder to win. The thing we have to do is go to work. There's some things that we need to improve and get better, and hopefully this can make us a better team for our playoff run.
Let's face it, the next 3 weeks are not a true test for the Colts. The final 2 regular season games have no bearing on the postseason. Then there's a bye week before the first playoff game, which could be here against the defending champion New England Patriots. Now that would be a true test. In Indianapolis, Sal Palantonio, ESPN.
Somebody wins the Super Bowl every year, right? But just to clue you in on how tough the pursuit of perfection is, through Sunday, 1,247 teams in NFL history have played at least 14 games. Only one, the 1972 Miami Dolphins, reached 14-0.
Earlier this week. Seahawks not supposed to have any trouble with the Titans. Well, Brad Pitt was supposed to have babies with Jennifer Aniston, so, you never know. First quarter, 7-0 Seahawks. Sean Alexander busted kids, old school style, black cleats. I'm just going to freak him. 52-yard run. He had a $172 rushing on the day. Same drive, 1st and goal. Alexander, get at me, son. 24th touchdown of the year. Leads the NFL. Only the 5th player ever with back-to-back 1,600-yard rushing seasons. 14-0 Seahawks. Second quarter, little sweetness. Jared Payton, 3-yard touchdown. First offensive touchdown in the last 10 quarters for the Titans. They're down 14-7. Third quarter, 2nd and 9 Titans at the Seattle 14. Steve McNair with time in his pocket and the ball game tied, getting his hook on with Drew Brennan. 21-14 Titans. Seahawks trail for the first time since November 27th against the Giants. Fourth quarter, they'll shut them down, Tennessee. Not today. Matt Hasselbeck connects to Darrell Jackson, 2-yard touch. Seahawks, 10 straight wins for the first time in franchise history. They win this one 28-24. No SI cover jinx here. Your Dockers all-around performer, Sean Alexander. I told you about the $172, did it on 26 carries. His 24th rushing touchdown, 3 shy of tying Priest Holmes' 1 single season mark. Is there a better all-around performer than Sean Alexander? Second time he's been honored this season with the Dockers all-around. 5th player, as I said, in history. I just got to reiterate it because it's so fat we got to say it again. Back-to-back 1,600-yard rushing seasons.
The next time in
the ultimate highlight. Brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade, is it in you?
718 stand up, you can't see. Low, baby, I got feel to work your abdominal. I'm going in. It's the lock, yo. Strictly A game. Rock it fast, rock it slow. You got to rock it fast, rock it slow. Rock it fast, rock it. I put it down so hard that I developed a rap. For the punchlines to cave in your delicate chest. A fella can tell. I see how jealous you get. I smell the fear in the air and I can tell he was packed. Quality, in my eyes, you can tell I'm a threat. I wet my throat and get bent like a pelican's neck. I make a gentleman's bet with my ghetto connect. I can't believe this guy tonight. Metal detect. Pull it out, put it to you. Shoot from the hip. 513, left 2 in the clip. I spit the truth, that's it. I'm not confused one bit. I'm so New York City streets and I'm abusing your whip. Cruising this trip, sunny days, sky blue like a fool. For the rush hour, enough food. This is the next quarter to 6. I'm in days and producing the hits. To get a screw loose in your chick, son, she's losing it. Hop to the beat and stop. Yeah, drop it low, baby. I got the flow to work your abdominal. Ladies, I know like it. Hop like lava wheels, trick.
Here's LeBron James. Whoa! Oh, the steal by LeBron.
Low, baby. I got the flow to work your abdominal. Ladies, I know like it. Hop like lava wheels, trick. In the A game, drop it fast. Get your on the dance floor. No, don't stop. We in the dance floor. Baby girl, what you wanna get into? I wanna get into. Bring your friends too. Get your on the dance floor. No, don't stop. We in the dance floor. Monty for the win. I wanna get into. Bring your friends too.
The ultimate highlight. Brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade, is it in you?
From the ultimate
head coach Tony Dungy did find some consolation in yesterday's loss, saying his team would no longer have to answer questions about going undefeated. They could now, quote, have more focus on our ultimate goal to win the Super Bowl. Bob Holtzman has more on the Colts from Indianapolis the day after their first defeat. Bob?
Well, Dan, I can tell you the sky is certainly not falling here in Indianapolis. Yes, they lost their shot at a perfect season yesterday, but as you mentioned today, the focus was fully on their big goal, which is to win the Super Bowl. Tony Dungy told us today that he doesn't think this loss is going to be a lasting issue.
The mood is, disappointment, but I think our guys have always gone back to work the next day no matter what. We had 13 wins that we didn't really dwell on too long, and I don't think we'll dwell on this one other than the fact that we'll look at a lot of corrections that we have to make.
Some people I talk to, friends, are like, now you can focus, you don't have to answer all those questions, but to me, I'm still, bummed out about it and still, disappointed about losing.
To be honest, the biggest concern today here with the players is simply that they had to come to work. See, since the start of November, Tony Dungy has had a rule that every time they won a game, they'd get the next day off. So this is the first time they've had to come to work a day after a game since October. And Dan, I could tell you that Tony Dungy also said today that his starters will play Saturday in Seattle, but he has not yet decided how much they'll play.
Bob Holtzman live in Indianapolis. Thank you, Bob. All aboard the SportsCenter Express. More on the Colts. Their last loss of any kind was last January 16th, the 20-3 divisional playoff loss to the Patriots in Foxborough. Manning, no touchdown passes, 0 for 7 in his career in Foxborough after that loss. How about the last Colts regular season loss? That came January 2nd at Denver. Jake Plummer threw for 246 yards, 2 touchdowns as the Broncos beat the Colts 33-14, but it should be pointed out that Peyton Manning only threw 2 passes that day. His backup, Jim Sorge, 16-25, 168 yards. He did throw 2 touchdown passes. Last time the Colts lost at home, prior to yesterday, October 24th, 2004 against the Jaguars. Byron Leftwich led the Jags to scoring drives in their final 4 possessions, and it was the rookie Josh Scobie, a season-long 53-yard field goal with 38 seconds left to beat Indianapolis in Indy 27-24. Let's bring in our Monday night countdown guys. We got Tom Jackson and Ron Jaworski. TJ, let me start with you. That Colts offense running game was shut down. Peyton Manning threw a season-high 45 passes. Why a down day for maybe the best offense in football?
Well, Dan, I think it was all about imbalance. You talk about the 45 passes that Peyton had to throw. They had a season low, 25, 23 yards running the football. That translates into pressure on the quarterback. And when you saw Peyton Manning getting sacked 4 times and knocked down numerous times, I think that that's what will happen to any football team, Colts or otherwise, if you don't have balance. The Colts have been the most balanced football team in the league this year. Yesterday, that abandoned them. It allowed the Chargers to do exactly what they wanted to do with their front 7, which was to put pressure on the passer and force Peyton, as you heard Sean Merriman say, out of the pocket, out of his comfort zone.
Jaws, I like how people say we got the blueprint now to beat the Colts. You got to have the talent to have the blueprint and put it into place. But what did the Chargers do defensively to put all this pressure on Peyton Manning and really disrupt that offense?
Well, it really is about the pressure. And when you look at the Colts offense, as much as we all have through the years because they're so good, it's always about timing and rhythm. So you must disrupt that timing and rhythm. And you have to give Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, some credit. He was able to get pressure with a 5-man rush. That means they're not the high-risk type blitzes. You always have a free safety in center field, so if you do get beat, you won't get beat for a touchdown. It will only be a big play. The other thing I like is when you look at the Chargers' 2 best pass rushers, when you look at Merriman and Foley, they were lined up on the same side. That's 2 quick guys coming off the edge. Now with Castillo and Williams up the middle, Peyton had nowhere to go.
Tommy, let me go back to you. If the Colts lose in week 2, we're not going to say, oh, my gosh, what's it going to mean for the playoffs? Now they finally lost in week 15, and we're worried about the residual effect of this. What is going to happen to the Colts as far as this loss and what it means the rest of the year?
You know, I think they're a pretty resilient football team. I think this comes as a blessing in disguise. You know, I feel like going 19-0, yes, it would have been great. Would have been a great little footnote for them. But I think now they get a chance to refocus, and they also get a chance to earn this, what's deserved for them. And that is R&R. Whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, you get a chance to get ready for the last 3 games of the season. You know, when I was there with them this past week, what's more important, the next 3 games or the last 3 games? I think clearly the focus is on those last 3 games, and they would have had to play 3 games just like they played against the San Diego Chargers in order to get to the playoffs. I think it really would have been unfair to them, you know, with the great season that they've had.
Jaws, is there any way this loss comes back to haunt this team in the playoffs?
No, I don't believe so. But I am a little bit concerned about that R&R that Tommy was talking about. It's going to be 27 or 28 days before the Colts play a competitive football game, and it will be a playoff game. And, you know, it's not like a water faucet where you can turn on those competitive juices, you know, to hot and cold. 27, 28 days is a long time. It'll be interesting to see how they react to all that time off without having to play a meaningful game.
Yeah, great point. Thank you, Jaws. Thank you, TJ. It's almost as if the Colts are sort of like USC or Texas playing in the national title game. A lot of time off before they play a quality opponent. But Tony Dungy said he's going to play some of the starters against Seattle. The Chargers scored 26 points on what had been the NFL's second-best scoring defense. Also, 453 yards of total offense, 167 more than the Colts had allowed per game this year. Drew Brees completing passes of 49 and 54 yards in that game. Indy had allowed a total of 3 40-yard pass plays in its first 13 games this season. After looking at those numbers, time to ask the experts. Open mic with Mike Lervin, Mike Ditka. All right, what weakness did the Chargers expose yesterday?
I don't think they exposed any weakness. Listen, let me tell everybody out here who's looking for this great weakness in the Indianapolis Colts. If you can come in and play a great, perfect defensive game plan, then that's the weakness. I mean, you can get to Peyton Manning, jam the receivers, and stop Edgerrin James, then that's great. That's the weakness they showed, but I'm telling you, it's harder to do than we're talking about right
They exposed 2 weaknesses. If you have Sean Merriman and you can pressure the quarterback, Peyton Manning, like he did, then you got a chance to do that. And the other weakness they exposed is the fact that the cornerbacks of the Indianapolis Colts are just average cornerbacks. They need help from the safeties. Those safeties sucked up a little bit over the top.
Coach, wait a minute.
Those are the weaknesses.
Okay, Coach, wait a minute. Not only getting to Peyton, you got to get to Peyton, you got to stop the wide receivers, and then you have to stop Edgerrin James. You got to play a perfect defensive game plan to beat the Indianapolis Colts, and that's what they happened to do yesterday.
It's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
But can't you start with putting pressure on Peyton, therefore it allows you to do the other things? Doesn't it start there and there's a domino?
You get pressure on Peyton and you don't jam those wide receivers. Peyton is always, pressure is not what's stopping him. You got to stop the timing of everything. Well, you ever watch Peyton when he's dropping back sometimes? Pressure is in his face, but he keeps his head upfield looking at those wide receivers. Yesterday, those guys just did not get over.
They played man-to-man about 30% of the time. That's what Merriman told us today. Actually, Donnie Edwards told us yesterday. And when they played man-to-man, they were in a bump situation, and they bumped and ran those guys. There was nowhere to throw the ball, and then the pressure hit them.
That's what I said. Just say what you said, Michael. That's what I said.
Copycat.
Did losing help the Colts in any way?
Well, you know what? Yes, it did. Because when I talked to the guys today, all they talked about was, hey, man, it's like they feel like a hole is inside of them. Now, how can you imagine that winning 13 straight games? Very few teams have ever done that in the league, and you feel like there's a hole inside of you. They all talked about we are ready to get to the playoffs. They will be breathing fire.
A good loss, Coach?
Well, it'll help them refocus, but there's no good losses. There's not a good loss. Yeah. Never a good loss. It'll help them refocus, but let me tell you what. If it mattered a lot to them, let's see how many of their starters they play against Seattle. Because I think they got to make a statement. They got to get the bad taste out of their mouth. This was unexpected. This was in their house. They got whipped.
And it takes the pressure off Tony Dungy. It takes the pressure off having to play those last 2 games. You've earned the right to rest, and now those guys will get some rest.
Okay, but how do you play this game on Saturday against Seattle, a game that's...
This one I try to win. I really do. I'm just going to leave it. I try to win it. That's because I think you got to send a statement. And Seattle's a team. They got the second-best record in football. You got to send a statement.
I'm a little afraid. I saw Peyton Manning take too many hits yesterday. I may play him a quarter just to get his rhythm. I don't even play Edgerrin James. Edge, you sit down and get some rest.
All right, now with what we saw on Sunday, do we bring anybody else into the equation that can beat the Colts in the playoffs?
I do. I mean, the only problem they're going to have is the coach got home field all the way through it. You're telling me about a team I think can beat anybody outside. It's New England Patriots. I really believe that right now. I believe right now that this team is playing as good as anyone. Look at what they've done the last 3 games. Just look what they've done in the last 3 games.
Yes,
they're giving up 28 yards on the ground the last 3 games. They're giving up an average of 3 points a game. Come on, wake up. Wake up. They could do it. That's one team we have. And Cincinnati, too.
Do you bring anybody into the equation?
Won't happen. No one can beat
Nobody can beat the Colts.
Nobody will beat the Colts. I mean, come on. New England, you may get a little pressure on play, but you can't stop those corners. You know what I mean? You can get some
You guys can bet with one another.
You can't. It won't happen. It won't. It will not happen. Indianapolis will still be in Detroit. We will be covering you guys in the Super Bowl.
All right. You guys were so good. I'm going to bring you back because I want to ask you about your MVP in the NFL. Is that all right?
Yeah.
You're on the payroll, Coach. You got to come back if I say you got to come back.
Yeah, but he takes all the time.
No, I do
All right,
not.
I'm starting with you. I'm going to give you a majority of the time next time. We'll come back. Mike Ditka gets all the time he needs to talk about his NFL MVP. That's Open Mic, Part 1. Stop whining, Coach.
And there's plenty more NFL ahead on SportsCenter. We will celebrate a man who has made the most of his Monday nights. On the way, don't miss a Brett Favre Monday Night Football flashback. Speaking of flashing back, inside SportsCenter, what happened to the Cowboys on Sunday? A whooping. And are the Bears now Rex Grossman's team? Plus, who is the real NFL MVP? Flashing forward to college football, how would the 2005 Trojans fare against the 91 Rose Bowl champs? We're going to play it out. And next, PTI asks if the 72 Dolphins overdo it with champagne, or are they not celebrating nearly enough? Perspective after this.
I love a jag showing love, an entrance from above. The boys get in skinned and violins. I love charging up the bolts, beating down the Colts. The street comes to an end with the win, and I love you too, and I love you too. Here we go now. I love running like a freak, freezing off your beak, a crack by Kinnison and Big Ben. I love a quiet celebration, a rowdy Raider nation. My favorite Marvin wins again, and I love Week 15, and I love you too, and I love you too, and I love you too.
Here's the football!
Welcome to Week 15 of Chain Reaction. Tom Jackson, Sean Salisbury. We're going to get to my surprise right away, and it's the Chargers going into Indy and beating the Colts. And it's the way they made them one-dimensional. 15 carries for 24 yards rushing for Edgerrin James and company. That allowed the Chargers to put the pressure on one Peyton Manning. And you saw him get sacked 4 times, knocked down numerous times. And any team that plays them, that can make them that one-dimensional, is going to have success. But I think it was a blessing in disguise in the end. You lose that game, now you get the advantage that you gain for getting home field throughout the playoffs before the regular season ends.
Tommy, my surprise is the Dallas Cowboys. They'd have had better luck sitting in their hotel room and not even showing up for the game, because that's basically how they played against the Washington Redskins. If I take you back early in the season, remember the comeback from the Redskins? If you're the Cowboys, got to have some pride about yourself and come into Washington and get a little payback. Plus, oh, by the way, you're in a playoff hunt. Tommy, I thought it was embarrassing. They didn't throw it, run it, block it, tackle it. They did nothing right today. And for a Bill Parcells team, they looked very, very intimidated and scared when they went in there. This was the Redskins all the way. The Cowboys put themselves in a bind, did not play good football.
Sean, my disappointment, the Vikings losing to the Steelers after winning 6 games in a row, and they did all the things they hadn't done during that 6-game winning streak. Brad Johnson making mistakes down in the red zone. They had 4 trips into the red zone. They only scored 3 points off those 4 trips. When you turn the ball over like that, you're not going to be able to be successful. They weren't opportunistic on defense. They basically got out-physicaled, if you will, by the Pittsburgh Steelers, something they hadn't done during their winning streak.
Mine's going to be odd. My disappointment's the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll tell you why, Tommy. They continue to play down to competition and allow teams that have no business staying in games take them to the brink. And yes, Garrard's done a good job. Yes, this football team's winning, and yes, more than likely they're going to get in the playoffs. But, Tommy, they continue to do this, and if I take you back to last year, they had a chance to get into the playoffs, and the Houston Texans came on the road and knocked them out. They still got to play Tennessee and Houston. Don't be shocked. They got to pick up the tempo because you want to have some momentum, and because right now, guess where they got to go if the playoffs start? To New England. Bad place to go if you're not playing
good right
football.
now with their front
Absolutely
seven.
not.
I'm going to get to my coaching move, and it's the defensive coordinator of the San Diego Chargers, Wade Phillips, and the way he moved that linebacking core around, especially one, Sean Merriman, who looked like Lawrence Taylor today as he blitzed from inside, outside, ran over the guards. He, to me, was the difference maker defensively, and he set the tone for the Chargers.
Mine is Marvin Lewis, and it's not just the one-game coaching move. It's basically the last 3 years, Tommy, what he's done. These are not your father's Cincinnati Bengals. Everything he's done has turned out well. Remember when he said, I'm not playing Carson Palmer as a rookie? Palmer's pretty good, an MVP candidate. Everybody that wanted to sprint out the door, Tommy, as a free agent, wants to stay in Cincinnati, and they're not going away soon. They're here to stay. The Cincinnati Bengals are for real. Look out for them in the playoffs. Marvin Lewis, everybody needs to do it like you do. Let's go back to you guys.
Wondering why pro game, the Mavs have won 7 of 8. Minnesota's lost 3 in a row by a total of 5 points. Darryl Armstrong trying to get himself killed.
How about the Redskins?
He got fined $1,000 by Dallas for that. You can't be talking about the Redskins in Dallas like that. That's Jason Terry with a 3. He had 14, Mavs up 5. Kevin Garnett then in a 4-point game gets it picked. Terry, Dirk Nowitzki, Josh Howard. Josh Howard said we just went out and did what we wanted. They're up 6, Mavs in transition again. This time Devin Harris to Howard. 23 points for Josh on 9 of 14 shooting, and they win it by 7.
This really shot. Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL, an official airline of Super Bowl 40.
Say what?
Dawson ready. Richardson waits. The snap is back and low, and the kick is on the way. End over end. It is up, and it is good!
Back to pass goes Sage. He's rolling right. Throws it downfield. Got a receiver. That's Booker. He's got it, and he's going to score a touchdown.
Oh, what a play!
Marty Booker. Hey, Marty, pay the fine. It's worth it, baby.
He goes to Moats, and Moats makes 2 men miss. He's at the 50. He's at the 45, at the 40, 35-30, 25-20, on his feet at the 10-5. Touchdown! Ryan Moats on his first touch of the game.
Brunell back to pass. Fires left. Cooley again, wide open. Inside the 20. Still on his feet to the 50. On his feet. He's on his feet. He's in. He's in. Touchdown. Touchdown, Redskins. Touchdown, Chris Cooley.
Turner is the tailback. Breeze hands to Burner. Turner goes to the right side. He's got room. 30, 35, 40, 50.